Oh, and we are out of bobbin thread. That's unfortunate. All right. This is a good teaching opportunity though, you guys. I'm going to cut the thread way up here and pull it through because I need to use that to wind the bobbin. So here's what I'm going to reach under here. All right, we're going to talk about cleaning our machine for a second, because I have not properly cleaned this machine in a couple of bobbins. And that's gonna bite me if I'm not careful. Where's my proper brush? Here it is. Okay, so ran out of bobbin thread. It's been a couple of bobbins since I've really cleaned properly, so while it is not nearly as fun as free motion quilting together, we're gonna talk about really cleaning this out, okay? So I'm gonna take off my needle plate. And I'm actually going to turn off my machine, you guys, because I really want to get down in here. Okay, so what I'm doing here, guys, see, I'm just getting these little lint balls out. I'm going to come in here on my feed dogs and do the same. You know what, we're going whole hog. I'm going to take my presser foot off so that I can actually see under here a little bit better. All right, so just kind of coming in from the top and brushing things out. I'm gonna duck my head underneath. Oh, guys, oh, the fuzz. See, this is why. This doesn't look like a big deal, right? But it will cause friction, it will cause tension problems. It could, long term, it can cause really horrible things like overheating, etc. But right now, we're mostly worried about making sure we're not having tension problems, making sure our bobbin race is seated properly. It's very important to make sure this lint comes out. And that it doesn't float around in the machine. We don't ever want to blow it into the machine. We want to be bringing it out. And you didn't find your quilting passion until Atlanta. That's okay. You found it. That's the really exciting part. Okay, so I'm just turning this wheel a bit so I can get to different parts of this bobbin race. So guys, you don't necessarily need to take it apart this much every single time you change bobbins, but at least every couple of bobbins you're going to want to. That was like very oily. Interesting. At least every couple of bobbins you're going to want to. And if you have a drop-in bobbin where like you literally can just pop the race out, that is so easy. That's how the Singer is, that it has a drop-in and there's just that little plastic bobbin race. And every time I change the bobbin on that, because there's not a lot of room in there for lint, so it gets clogged up quickly. Every time I change a bobbin on the Singer, I just pop that out, brush underneath, and pop it right back in. Okay? So keep that wheel coming towards you as you go all the way back up. All right. Clean. See, even here. Can you guys see this on my needle plate? I want to make sure all of that comes out. Really get in there in that needle hole. Okay. And then the same thing on the bobbin race, or the bobbin case, excuse me. Get the bristles and kind of get up underneath that little metal bit if you've got a bobbin like this. Clean it out real good, okay? And then all this goes in the trash. Whoop. So Kat, that's a great question. So in general, I recommend once a year unless something goes wrong. That once a year is basically for a deep clean, right? Because when you get your machine serviced, they're really gonna like take things apart. This machine is not necessarily gonna need service once a year unless something goes wrong. For me, this machine went about 15 months, and then I started having some issues with the needle bar height that I needed to get it adjusted, and it needed a good deep clean. So I recommend about once a year. Just set that money aside. Like I literally, when I was working on my domestics, I'm a very heavy sewer, as you can imagine, since this is like my full-time job. So when I was working on off-the-shelf domestics, and this would be true of really any domestic machine, I got it serviced as frequently as 6 months. But again, I'm sewing on it as a job. So for most of y'all, once a year, unless something goes wrong. And that, you know, if nothing's going wrong, it's tempting to be like, oh, I don't know that it really needs it. Everything seems fine. The problem is that things are more likely to go wrong as lint and whatnot build up in there. And it's going to extend the life of your machine. To just go ahead, keep it really clean, catch issues early if there are any parts that are starting to show wear and tear that maybe it hasn't affected your sewing yet, etc. So you can see this takes, you know, 5-10 minutes to do a pretty deep at-home clean. If stuff is really funky, I will even get like a little piece of knit fabric or a little like terry cloth, like a washcloth. Put a little sewing machine oil on the tip of it and really get in there with my finger. Make sure your machine is off if you are sticking your hands anywhere, right? Even taking the needle plate off and being up in there, I made sure my machine was off so I didn't accidentally bump the foot pedal and stick a needle through my finger, right? Like how traumatizing would that be? And then this machine does take oil. It has an oil reservoir. Mine says that it's fine, so we're not going to fool with it. And we're going to just do a final check on my bobbin case, and we're ready to wind the bobbin. All right? So it's worth the patience of this